everybody, Jep here, and welcome to another amazing operator lore video. Today we're diving into Specialist Mark Chandler, or better known as Mute's lore and history before and after he joined Team Rainbow. We'll be talking about how he was literally a child prodigy, how he often struggled in social interactions, and who his best friends are on Team Rainbow. If you like these types of videos, then make sure to subscribe with notifications so you never miss an operator lore video on your favorite operator. Also, if you think I did a good job making the video, then make sure to leave a like and comment below who you want to see next. With all that out of the way, let's start things off as we always do with when and where Mark Chandler was born. Mark was born into a prestigious household on October 11th in York, England. Mark is actually the youngest operator in all of Team Rainbow because he's only 25 years old as of today. You're about to find out all of the super cool things he was able to accomplish at such a young age. That honestly makes me feel like a chump. We don't know much at all about Mark's family. To be honest, we practically don't know anything about them at all. We don't know if he has any siblings either. We'll see later on in the video that Mute keeps to himself a lot and doesn't really like sharing his personal experiences. That probably has something to do with why there isn't much info at all on his personal life. Mute was an amazing student. And when I say amazing student, I literally mean like Einstein level of intelligence. Not going to lie, I'm pretty sure Mute is at least top 3 smartest on all of Team Rainbow, if not actually the smartest. And he's only 25. But back to his childhood, Mark was exceptional and well-rounded with all his studies in school. He's another operator that spent much more time in a book researching instead of out socializing with people, which we'll see later on how this affects him. He was so good at retaining information that he graduated secondary school at the age of 12. Okay guys, so now I'm from the United States and Mute is from England, so I'll need you guys to help me out with this. Is secondary school the equivalent to like high school in America? Because if that's the case, then Mark Chandler graduated high school at 12 years old. That is just amazing. In the year Mute spent after graduating secondary school and before heading to college, he joined an internship at a very prestigious British tech company. They had him work on the designs and functions of security system prototypes. He completed that internship in just 1 year. After that, he went on to be accepted at the University of Cambridge in the Department of Engineering. He majored in electronics and computer engineering. I want you guys to picture this for a moment. You're sitting there in class at a very prestigious college. You're struggling to finish a test. You think it's so hard and you're worried about failing it. Then this 14-year-old right next to you finishes his test and you're still on question 40. He walks up and hands it to the teacher and comes back to his seat with a smile on his face. This 14-year-old is Mute and he is twice as smart as you. Just picture that. Because he's a literal genius, he earned a Bachelor of Science and Engineering while most kids were still in high school. Then, of course, he got a PhD in electrical engineering as well. Mark is often seen as very rude because of his brief nature. He doesn't spend much time talking to people, so he may just one word answer you. He doesn't mean to come across as rude, but to most people, that's what they think about him, just a very rude person. We'll see later on how this kind of affects him on Team Rainbow. Mark's ingenuity caught him the attention of Britain's National Security Office. During training, Mute showed them how proficient he was at code breaking. They immediately promoted him to an intelligence officer with the Signals Intelligence Unit for Britain's national security. Mute wasn't just a nerd that knew computers. He also was very good at handling any weapon they gave him and became quite good at hand-to-hand combat as well. Britain sought to use Mute in a more of an effective way than just being security, so they transferred him to the Special Air Service, or better known to many as the SAS. Mute continued to contribute to the Applied Technical Research team and has recently started trying to learn Korean. This will come pretty handy when he joins Team Rainbow because one of his best friends on Team Rainbow actually speaks Korean. After a little while on the SAS, of course Team Rainbow wanted to pick Mute up and add him to the roster. Again, all of this by age 25. Of course, we all know that before a new cadet can join Team Rainbow and formally be on the roster, they need to complete a psychological evaluation by the leader of Team Rainbow, Harry. At first, Harry was kind of frustrated with Mark Chandler because he was just one word answering Harry for a while. Let me read for a little bit on what Harry had to say about Mute. Given his background in information security, Chandler understands secrecy and seems uncomfortable with expressing himself or with personal questions. In his field and here at Rainbow, information is a critical life and death commodity. So of course I respect this, but only up to a limit. I had to find another way in, and we managed to find common ground in discussing history of all things. Now, I actually thought that this was actually pretty funny because the literal leader of Team Rainbow, 6, or better known as Harry, was getting one word answered from Mute because, like, to Mute, I guess Harry wasn't even, like, worth his time. But they did find some common things in history. Since Mute grew up in York, England, history was all around him. York is one of the most historic cities in all of England. Mark told Harry that as a kid he would often walk past the Gothic church on his way to school and marvel about how beautiful it was. He would stand there for a while just looking up at the bell tower. Now, he actually did tell Harry that he would stand there for so long that he would often get dizzy from looking up for so long. Let's now talk about some of the operators on Team Rainbow that Mute interacts with. Mute isn't normally one who likes small talk, but he will speak up when he has something he wants to say or feel passionate about. Sometimes he can be very brash when he knows he's right. Again, he isn't trying to be a jerk, but to most people it comes off this way. Someone that interestingly enough comes to Mute's defense when there's an argument is Specialist Mike Baker, or better known as Thatcher. I find this so interesting because Thatcher, the man that hates technology and is set in his old ways, likes Mute, someone who is young, arrogant, and all about technology. In the very first Operator Lore video I ever made, it was on Thatcher, and I said in the video that Thatcher is actually somewhat jealous of Mute because of how much he was able to accomplish in his life and how soon he was able to do it. Where Thatcher in his mid-50s, Mute is only 25, and they are in the exact same spot. So while Thatcher doesn't agree with everything Mute does or says, he does respect him in that sense and therefore defends him when he feels like he needs to. Another good friend to Mute is actually Glaz. It kind of caught me off guard because I didn't expect them to get along well, but they actually are pretty good friends. Harry is kind of confused about this as well, and he says that he believes it's because Glaz also looks at complex situations, then dissects or solves them in very unique ways, just like Mute. They're both abstract thinkers, probably why they get along so well. But remember earlier in the video how I said Mute has been learning Korean, which will come in handy later on in Team Rainbow? Well, this is because Mute's best friend on Team Rainbow is actually Specialist Shul Kwang-ha, or better known as Vigil, and he is actually from Korea. Mute has been using his newly acquired language of Korean to better communicate with his good buddy Vigil. Mute did tell Harry though that he thinks Vigil is far too quiet and he's worried about him. I wonder if Mute actually knows all of the awful things that happened to Vigil in his childhood and lifetime. Because anyone who saw my Vigil Operator Lore video knows how much Vigil went through. And it was the combination of very bad things that happened to him in his childhood that made him the quiet statue that he is today. If you want to watch that really good Vigil Lore video I made, I'll leave a link to the video in the description below. Now let's go over the device evaluation that every new cadet on Team Rainbow must do before they use their gadgets in the field. This time it was completed by Vigil and Mute together. Let's listen in as I read this interesting evaluation from Mute and Vigil. Rainbow Director Harishva Six Pandy and Research and Development Director Elena Alvarez, or better known as Mira, have made these evaluations a top priority. I was asked to review the GS90 signal disruptor alongside Specialist Chandler. He's invested many years researching defense systems and GPS-reliant military systems. Really, he's the expert on the subject. Specialist Chandler and I put the GS90 Moni signal disruptor through a number of interior and exterior scenarios. The key focus was to test jamming signal parameters based on several constraints while keeping the device's weight to an absolute minimum. Regarding the attached evaluation results, Specialists Vies and Pichon, are better known as IQ and Twitch, made repeated requests to review the data because both of these operators have devices that are powerful counters to the Moni. I didn't want to be uncooperative, but I wasn't clear on the protocols. Mute wasn't granted access to IQ's Red MK3 results until Director Alvarez had seen them. So Mira, I'm leaving it to you to decide. And then at the end of the evaluation, it looks like Mira left a comment on Vigil when he was talking about how IQ and Twitch were trying to get access to Mute's signal disruptor. And Mira's comment was, that's fine, Vigil, I'll handle it from here. And then she signed it, Mira. Well, with the evaluation done, we are all caught up on Mute's lore. This was another video where I made a huge script for it and did a lot of research. So thank you, truly thank you if you made it this far. But what did you guys think? Did you think it was cool that Mute is probably the smartest person on Team Rainbow? Or what other interesting things did you learn? You can let me know by leaving a comment down below. Now, if you did enjoy the video and think I did a good job making it, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jippy out!